Wealthy CEO left his pregnant wife. 18 years later, he saw her son as his only lawyer in court. Victor couldn't breathe. The young attorney before him had his eyes, the same unusual gray-green that stared back from his mirror each morning. The same jawline, the same way of standing with weight shifted slightly to the left. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The moment Jordan Ellis locked eyes with Victor Harlan across the crowded courtroom, something electric passed between them, a flash of recognition neither man could explain. Jordan stood tall at the plaintiff's table, his first major case as lead counsel, while billionaire Victor gripped the edge of the defense table so hard his knuckles turned white. Mr. Ellis will be representing the plaintiffs in this case. Your Honor, the senior partner announced. Victor couldn't breathe. The young attorney before him had his eyes, the same unusual gray-green that stared back from his mirror each morning. The same jawline, the same way of standing with weight shifted slightly to the left. This was impossible, yet the truth hit him with the force of a bullet. His son, the baby he'd walked away from 18 years ago when he believed Mia had betrayed him. The child he'd convinced himself wasn't his. Jordan Ellis moved through his opening statement with precision, each word driving deeper into Victor's chest. The boy had no idea he was systematically dismantling his own father's empire. No idea he was speaking to the man who had abandoned his mother before his birth. Have you ever had your past suddenly crash into your present? That moment when everything you thought was buried forever resurfaces when you least expect it? Drop a comment below if you've experienced that heart-stopping moment when your carefully constructed world begins to crumble. As the judge called for the first witness, Victor made his decision. 18 years ago, he'd walked away from his family based on a lie. Now, watching his son, brilliant, focused, and completely unaware of their connection, Victor knew this courtroom battle would end with a truth neither of them was prepared to face. The Harlan Industries versus Westbrook Securities case was supposed to be straightforward, a corporate theft lawsuit that would establish Jordan's reputation at the firm. What he hadn't counted on was Victor Harlan's strange behavior on the stand. Mr. Harlan, would you please state your relationship with the plaintiff company? Jordan asked, approaching the witness box. Victor seemed to struggle for composure, his eyes never leaving Jordan's face. I'm the founder and CEO. And in that capacity, you personally approved all executive hires. Yes. Jordan moved closer, unnerved by the intensity of the older man's gaze. Is something wrong, Mr. Harlan? How old are you, Mr. Ellis? Victor asked suddenly. The judge frowned. Mr. Harlan, please answer counsel's questions only. Jordan pressed on, but Victor's focus remained unervingly personal. During the lunch recess, Jordan's co-counsel nudged him in the courthouse hallway. What's with you and Harlan? He's looking at you like you're a ghost. Jordan shrugged. Rich guys hate losing. He's trying to throw me off. But something felt wrong. Jordan had prepared for every aspect of this case, except the strange hollowness in his chest whenever he looked at the defendant. Almost like recognition, which made no sense. He'd never met Victor Harlan before. Back in the courtroom, Jordan circled Victor with his questions, building toward the evidence of corporate sabotage. With each exchange, Victor's composure fractured further. Where were you born, Mr. Ellis? Victor interrupted suddenly. Objection. Jordan's co-counsel jumped up. Relevance. Sustained, the judge said sharply. Mr. Harlan, one more outburst and you'll be held in contempt. The courtroom whispered. Billionaires didn't lose control like this. Have you ever felt someone looking through you rather than at you? That unexplainable connection that makes your skin prickle? Share your experience in the comments. As court adjourned for the day, Jordan gathered his papers, satisfied with their progress but disturbed by the encounter. A note slid across his table. Victor Harlan's business card with handwritten words on the back. Your mother is Mia Ellis from Birmingham. Please call me tonight. It's about your father. Jordan froze, papers slipping from his fingers. His mother never spoke about his father, only that he'd left before Jordan was born. How did Victor Harlan know her name, and why? After 18 years, Was his father suddenly relevant to a corporate lawsuit? Victor's hands shook as he entered his penthouse, the Houston skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows. He'd hired 3 private investigators over the years to find Mia, but she disappeared completely after he'd frozen their accounts and walked away. His phone rang. His father, Edward Harlan. "I saw the news," the old man said without greeting. "That attorney is your spitting image." "Is he yours?" Victor's jaw tightened. "Yes." "Does he know?" "No." Edward's laugh crackled through the phone. "Fascinating situation. The boy trying to destroy his own legacy." "A legacy built on your lie," Victor snapped. "You showed me doctored photos of Mia with another man. You convinced me the baby wasn't mine." "I protected our family interests," Edward replied coldly. "She was after your money. Always was. She was a nurse who wanted to open clinics for underserved communities," Victor said, the truth he'd discovered too late burning in his chest. "And I abandoned her because I trusted you." Water under the bridge, Edward dismissed. "The question is, what will you do now? The boy clearly has no idea who you are." Victor stared at the DNA test results he'd rushed after court. 99.9% match. There was no doubt. Jordan Ellis was his son. "I'm going to tell him the truth." And risk everything? He's opposing counsel in a $100 million lawsuit. "Some things matter more than money," Victor said, hanging up. "Have you ever discovered that something you believed for years was actually a lie? How did you handle that moment of truth? Share your experience below." Victor opened his laptop, searching Mia Ellis Houston. Nothing for years, then a recent community award for her work at a local hospital. She'd built a life without him, raised their son alone while he'd built an empire on emptiness. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Jordan Ellis. Explain how you know my mother." Victor's heart raced as he typed back. "We need to meet in person. Some conversations shouldn't happen over text." The response came quickly. "I'm in the middle of suing you. Any meeting would be inappropriate." Victor closed his eyes, remembering Mia's face the day he'd left. The confusion, the pain, the betrayal. He couldn't make the same mistake twice. "Jordan, I knew your mother in Birmingham. Before you were born. I have information about your father that will change everything. Meet me at Riverside Park, 7 a.m. Just 15 minutes. Mia Ellis nearly dropped her coffee mug when the evening news showed her son standing outside the downtown courthouse. Lead attorney Jordan Ellis made significant headway against Harlan Industries today, the reporter announced, with defendant Victor Harlan appearing unusually rattled during cross-examination. The camera panned to Victor exiting the building, and Mia's heart stopped. 18 years had added silver to his temples and lines around his eyes, but he was unmistakably the same man who had walked out on her when she was 3 months pregnant. Her phone rang immediately. Her best friend Lisa, who knew the whole story. "Mia, are you seeing this? Jordan is facing Victor in court." "It's impossible," Mia whispered. "Jordan doesn't know. He's never even seen a picture of Victor." "But Victor will recognize him," Lisa said. "Jordan looks exactly like him." Mia grabbed her keys. "I have to get to Jordan before Victor does." She drove frantically across Houston, calling Jordan repeatedly. No answer. At his apartment building, the doorman shook his head. "Mr. Ellis hasn't returned from court, ma'am." Back in her car, Mia finally let the tears come. She'd protected Jordan from the truth his entire life. When Jordan asked about his father, she said only that he'd left them, never mentioning his name, never keeping photos. She'd moved 3 times when Jordan was young, changing phone numbers, using her maiden name. What Jordan didn't know, what she'd never told anyone except Lisa, was that Victor had tried to find them a year after he left. His private investigator had located them in their small Houston apartment. Mia, still devastated and afraid Victor would take her baby, had fled again without a trace. Have you ever kept a secret to protect someone you love? Did that secret eventually catch up with you? Share your experience in the comments. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. "Mom, we need to talk. Victor Harlan claims he knows you. Says he has information about my father. Meeting him tomorrow morning." Mia's blood ran cold. After everything, after all the careful years of protection, the truth was about to explode in their faces. She typed with trembling fingers. "Don't meet him. Come home first. There's something I need to tell you." His reply was immediate. "What aren't you telling me?" Mia took a deep breath and made the hardest decision of her life since leaving Birmingham 18 years ago. "Victor Harlan is your father." Jordan didn't sleep. His mother's revelation repeated in his mind like a broken record. Victor Harlan, billionaire, defendant, target of his carefully built legal case, was his father, the man who had abandoned them before his birth. Dawn found him at Riverside Park, waiting on a bench overlooking the water. He'd ignored his mother's pleas to talk first. He needed to hear Victor's version without her filtering it. "Thank you for coming," Victor said, approaching cautiously. Jordan studied the man with new eyes, seeing his own features reflected back at him. "My mother told me last night. Apparently, she thought I should know before you twisted the story." Victor sat beside him, leaving careful distance between them. "I don't blame her for thinking that." "Why now?" Jordan demanded. "You've had 18 years. I didn't know where you were," Victor said quietly. "And for many years, I believed. I was told you weren't mine." Jordan's laugh was bitter. Convenient excuse. Not an excuse. The truth. Victor's knuckles whitened as he gripped his knees. "My father showed me evidence that your mother had been unfaithful. Doctored photos, witness statements, all of it fabricated. I believed him. So you abandoned a pregnant woman based on gossip?" "Based on what I thought was proof," Victor corrected. "I was wrong. By the time I discovered the truth, you and your mother had disappeared. Changed names, moved away. I hired investigators, but Mia was always one step ahead." Jordan stood abruptly. "This changes nothing about our case. I'll see you in court." "Jordan," Victor called after him. "The case evidence came from my father's office. The same man who separated us is trying to manipulate you now." Jordan froze. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying check your sources. This lawsuit is another of my father's games. Have you ever discovered you were being used as a pawn in someone else's scheme? How did you handle the realization that you weren't seeing the complete picture? Tell me in the comments below." 3 hours later, they faced each other across the courtroom again. Jordan had ignored his firm's questions about his distraction, pushing forward mechanically through witness examinations while his mind raced. During cross-examination, Jordan held up a key document. "Mr. Harlan, this memo authorizing fund transfers came from your office, correct?" "Correct. And this signature is yours." Victor leaned forward. "It appears to be, but it's forged." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. "Objection!" Opposing counsel shouted. "Your Honor," Victor interrupted, "I need to request a brief recess to consult with my attorneys. I believe new evidence has come to light regarding document authenticity." The judge frowned. 20 minutes, Mr. Harlan." As the courtroom emptied, Jordan remained frozen at his table, the document trembling in his hand. His entire case, his first major litigation, might be built on a foundation of forgeries, created by his own grandfather to destroy his father. "You need to recuse yourself," Victor said bluntly. They stood in a small conference room, Jordan, Victor, and their respective legal teams. Jordan's senior partner, Wallace, looked bewildered. "What the hell is happening here?" Wallace demanded. Jordan squared his shoulders. "Victor Harlan is my biological father." The room erupted. Wallace's face turned purple. "Is this some kind of joke?" "I wish it were," Jordan said. "I just discovered it yesterday. This is an obvious attempt to derail our case." Wallace sputtered. "Harlan is manipulating you." "DNA doesn't lie," Victor said quietly, "and neither does this." He slid a folder across the table. "Original documents showing the evidence in your case was falsified by my father, Edward Harlan." Jordan opened the folder with steady hands while his professional life imploded around him. Inside were side-by-side comparisons of original company memos and the doctor versions in their evidence file. The differences were subtle but unmistakable. "Your grandfather is dying," Victor explained. "His last game is turning us against each other." Wallace grabbed Jordan's arm. "Ellis, step outside. Now." In the hallway, Wallace's whisper was furious. "You're throwing away your career over some DNA test? This is the biggest case of the year. It's a case built on forged evidence, Jordan replied. And yes, he's my father. Look at us, Wallace. It's obvious once you see it. I don't care if he's your long-lost twin. You walk back in there and do your job. Jordan removed Wallace's hand from his arm. My job is seeking justice, not winning at all costs. Have you ever had to choose between your professional obligations and your personal integrity? What guided your decision? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. When Jordan re-entered the conference room, another man was there, elderly, hooked to an oxygen tank, his face a weathered version of Victor's. My grandson, Edward Harlan wheezed, eyeing Jordan. Finally, Jordan felt ice in his veins. You're the one who separated my parents. Edward's smile was reptilian. I protected the Harlan legacy from a gold digger. And now you've grown up to attack your own birthright. Ironic. Father, that's enough, Victor warned. No, let him speak, Jordan said, sitting directly across from Edward. I want to hear how he justifies destroying 3 lives. Edward leaned forward, oxygen tank hissing. Your mother was nothing, a charity case nurse with community clinic dreams. Victor was heir to billions. You think I let her trap him with a pregnancy? So you faked evidence of an affair, Jordan concluded. And Victor believed it because, deep down, he knew she wasn't worthy. Edward smiled thinly. Some women are for marrying, others are for... Enough. Victor slammed his hand on the table. Jordan, I'm withdrawing our defense. Your firm has grounds for dismissal based on falsified evidence. We'll settle the case. Edward's face contorted. You'll do no such thing. I'm still chairman of the board. Jordan looked between father and son, finally understanding the battlefield he'd unknowingly entered, and the price of victory neither man had expected to pay. Edward Harlan's mansion loomed over River Oaks Boulevard like a fortress, all stone and columns and old money. Jordan felt wildly out of place as the security gate swung open for Victor's car. I still don't understand why we're here, Jordan said, eyeing the estate. Victor parked in the circular driveway. Because my father keeps everything, every manipulation, every scheme. If he engineered this lawsuit, the proof will be in his study. And you think he'll just let us search his private files? He's dying and he knows it, Victor said grimly. That's made him reckless, arrogant. He wants to witness his grand finale, turning son against grandson. It's entertainment for him. The mansion's interior was exactly what Jordan expected. Marble floors, priceless art, the weight of generations pressing down from every surface. A nurse met them in the foyer. Mr. Edward is expecting you in the library, she said, her dark eyes lingering curiously on Jordan. Edward sat enthroned in a leather chair, oxygen tank beside him, looking frail yet dangerous. Like a venomous snake too weak to strike, but still deadly if handled. The prodigal grandson, he announced as Jordan entered. Harvard Law, top of your class. I've been following your career with interest. While manipulating me into attacking my own father, Jordan replied coldly. Edward's laugh dissolved into coughing. So dramatic, I merely created an opportunity for justice. Victor stole your childhood. I gave you a chance for compensation. Victor moved to the bookshelves. Where are the Westbrook files, father? Enjoying our family reunion? Edward ignored him, focusing on Jordan. You have a Harlem mind, strategic, ruthless. You would have made a fine heir if your mother hadn't hidden you away. My mother protected me, Jordan countered. Edward's smile was chilling. Is that what she told you? Ask her about the trust fund Victor established for you 1 year after leaving. Ask her about the private school tuition he arranged. All declined. All returned. Your mother chose poverty over Harlan money. Jordan felt the ground shift beneath him. You're lying. Am I? The desk drawer. Left side. The folder marked Ellis. Have you ever discovered that a story you believed your entire life had another side? How did learning the missing pieces change your perspective? Share your experience in the comments. Jordan hesitated, then crossed to the massive desk. The folder inside was thick, containing copies of checks returned to sender, private school applications withdrawn, letters for Victor's attorneys, all marked addressee unknown. She never told me, Jordan whispered. Of course not, Edward said. Her pride was more important than your opportunities. Victor's hand landed on Jordan's shoulder. Don't let him manipulate you too. Your mother did what she thought was right. Edward's eyes glittered. Family comes first, boy. Remember that. Blood matters more than anything. Even if you hate us, you're still Harlan. The nurse returned, checking Edward's oxygen levels. You need rest, Mr. Edward. As they left the library, Jordan felt the weight of his newly discovered legacy pressing down on him. 18 years of believing one story, only to discover layers of deception from everyone who should have told him the truth. Jordan spread the documents across his apartment floor, his entire life recontextualized in legal papers and return checks. Victor had tried to provide for them. Mia had rejected everything. His phone rang again, his mother calling for the 12th time. He finally answered. Why didn't you tell me? He demanded without greeting. Mia's voice was thick with tears. Jordan, please come home. I can explain everything. Explain how you returned a college fund, rejected child support, kept me from private schools I could have attended. It wasn't that simple, she pleaded. I'm meeting with the firm tomorrow, Jordan said, changing the subject. I have to recuse myself from the case. The evidence was falsified. By Edward Harlan, Mia guessed. Yes. How did you know? Her bitter laugh carried through the phone. Because he's been trying to control your life since before you were born. First by convincing Victor you weren't his, then by tracking us when Victor learned the truth. Jordan pinched the bridge of his nose. So you knew Victor tried to find us. The silence stretched. Finally, yes. And you kept running. I was protecting you, Mia insisted. Edward threatened to take you completely if Victor found us. Said with his money and influence, I'd never see you again. Jordan thought of Edward's reptilian smile in the library. The threat was entirely believable. Come Mia repeated. Please, there's more you need to know. Tomorrow, Jordan promised. I need to figure out what to do about this case first. After hanging up, Jordan opened his laptop, researching everything about Victor and Harlan Industries. The company's philanthropy sector was impressive. Education initiatives, healthcare access programs, community development. All areas Jordan cared about. All established within the last 15 years. After Victor discovered the truth. His phone buzzed with a text from Victor. There's a board meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. They're voting on my leadership after the lawsuit publicity. I'd like you to attend. Jordan stared at the message, considering the implications. Why would you want me there? I'm the opposition. Victor's reply was immediate. Because you deserve to know the company that should have been part of your birthright. And because blood matters. Even my father got that part right. Have you ever had to completely reimagine your identity based on new information about your past? How did you integrate these revelations into your understanding of yourself? Share your thoughts below. Jordan's firm called an emergency meeting for 9 a.m. He knew what was coming, either resignation or termination. The case was compromised beyond salvation. His career might be too. Strangely, the thought didn't devastate him as it should have. Something more important had emerged from the wreckage of the lawsuit: truth. After a lifetime of partial stories and missing pieces, Jordan finally had a chance to understand where he came from. He texted Victor back. I'll be at the board meeting, but I need something first. Name it, Victor replied. Access to all company records. If I'm walking into the lion's den, I want to know exactly what kind of business my father built. The real story, not the PR version. Victor's response came after a long pause. Done. My assistant will send everything now. No secrets between us anymore. Wallace didn't waste time with pleasantries at the firm meeting. You've compromised a multi-million-dollar case, he began, facing Jordan across the conference table. Care to explain yourself? Jordan slid copies of the falsified documents across the table. Our evidence was fabricated by Edward Harlan to create this lawsuit. The firm has an ethical obligation to withdraw. And the DNA test. Convenient timing, Wallace sneered. I didn't know Victor Harlan was my father until 2 days ago, Jordan said calmly. Neither did he. His father engineered this entire situation. The managing partner, Davidson, leaned forward. Jordan, regardless of personal relationships, we have client obligations. Our obligation is to justice, Jordan countered. Our client was manipulated into this lawsuit with false evidence. Do you really want the firm attached to this when it becomes public? That struck home. The partners exchanged glances. I'm recusing myself, Jordan continued, and recommending dismissal. I prepared all the necessary documentation. Wallace's face flushed. You're throwing away your career. I'm saving the firm's reputation, Jordan corrected, and possibly my soul. Davidson nodded slowly. We'll need your resignation letter today. It's on your desk, Jordan said, standing, along with a detailed explanation of document falsification that protects the firm from malpractice claims. As Jordan walked out, Wallace called after him. You're making a mistake, Ellis. Maybe, but for the first time in days, Jordan felt like he could breathe again. Outside, the morning sun hit his face as his phone buzzed. A text from the nurse at Edward's mansion. Your grandfather is asking for you. Come alone. Jordan hesitated, then typed. Tell him I'll be there in an hour. Have you ever had to choose between your professional reputation and your personal integrity? What factors influence your decision? Share your experience in the comments. Edward looked smaller against the pillows, medical equipment surrounding his bed like mechanical sentries. The nurse, Sophia, according to her name tag, checked his four before leaving them alone. You resigned from your firm, Edward stated. Not a question. News travels fast, Jordan noted, remaining standing. I have sources everywhere. Edward's smile was thin. You're more principled than I expected, willing to sacrifice advancement for ethics. Interesting. Why did you ask me here? Edward's skeletal finger pointed to his bedside drawer. Bottom drawer, blue folder. Inside was a new will, dated yesterday. Jordan scanned it, his eyes widening at the relevant clause. To my grandson, Jordan Ellis, I leave my controlling interest in Harlan Industries, 51%, effective immediately upon my death. What? Jordan asked, genuinely baffled. Insurance, Edward wheezed. Victor has grown soft. Too much philanthropy, not enough profit. You have the Harlan ruthlessness without the emotional baggage. You're trying to make me fight my own father for control of the company. Edward's eyes gleamed. I'm giving you what should have been yours from birth. Your inheritance. Jordan placed the will back in the drawer. I don't want your money. Or your games. You will, Edward predicted. Blood always tells in the end. You're a Harlan, whether you accept it or not. As Jordan turned to leave, Edward called after him. Ask Victor about the Thompson Heights project. Ask what happened to the families who lived there before his luxury condos. Jordan kept walking, but the words followed him. His grandfather was manipulating him until the end. But what if there was truth beneath the manipulation? What kind of company had Victor really built? And what kind of man was his father beyond the polished exterior? Harlan Industries occupied the top 10 floors of a gleaming downtown tower. Jordan felt every eye on him as he stepped off the elevator onto the executive floor. Victor's assistant, clearly briefed on his identity, led him directly to a corner office with panoramic views of Houston. Jordan, Victor rose from behind a massive desk. Thank you for coming. You mentioned a board meeting? In an hour. First, we should talk privately. Victor gestured to a sitting area where documents lay spread across a coffee table. These are the settlement papers for the lawsuit. Full restitution to the affected companies, plus a public statement acknowledging document irregularities. Jordan scanned the papers. This admits no wrongdoing by Harlan Industries. Because there was none, Victor said firmly. My father created this situation, but the company itself is clean. Is it? Jordan questioned. I did some research last night. Thompson Heights was a low-income neighborhood before Harlan Industries developed luxury condos there. 300 families displaced. Victor's expression tightened. Edward mentioned Thompson Heights. He suggested I ask you about it. Of course he did. Victor sighed. Those families were relocated to brand new mixed-income housing with 5-year rent control. The development includes a community center, clinic, and job training facility. It's actually the model we've used for all subsequent urban renewal projects. Jordan hadn't expected that answer. I need to verify that. I'll arrange site visits to any of our developments, Victor offered. No filters, no PR-spin. You can speak directly with community members. The door opened, and Sophia, Edward's nurse, entered unexpectedly. I apologize for interrupting, she said. Mr. Edward asked me to deliver this personally. She handed Jordan a thumb drive. He said you should view it before the board meeting. After she left, Victor's jaw clenched. More manipulations. Probably, Jordan agreed, turning the drive in his hand. But I should see it anyway. Victor connected the drive to his laptop. A video began playing. Edward Harlan, looking slightly stronger, sitting in his library. Jordan, if you're watching this, you're about to attend your first Harlan Industries board meeting, Edward began. What Victor hasn't told you is that the board is voting on his removal as CEO. The lawsuit has damaged confidence in his leadership. Victor's face remained impassive as his father continued. What you hold in your hands is your birthright. As my heir, you'll soon control the company. The question is whether you'll side with the father who abandoned you or embrace your destiny as a Harlan. The video ended, leaving tense silence. Have you ever been caught between competing loyalties, forced to choose sides in a conflict where both parties claim to have your best interests at heart? How did you determine who was telling the truth? Share your thoughts below. Is it true about the board vote? Jordan asked. Yes, Victor admitted. My father has been working behind the scenes, convincing board members I've weakened the company with too much focus on social responsibility. And what do you expect from me? Nothing, Victor said. You owe me nothing, Jordan. I missed 18 years of your life because I trusted the wrong person. That's my burden to bear, not yours. Jordan studied the man across from him. His father, a stranger, yet somehow familiar. I'd like to attend the board meeting as an observer. No commitment either way. I just want to see the company for myself. Victor nodded, relief visible in his eyes. That's fair. And afterward, perhaps you could finally meet your grandmother. My mother has been asking about you since she learned of your existence. The Harlan Industries boardroom hummed with tension. 12 men and women in expensive suits fell silent as Victor entered with Jordan at his side. Edward had arranged to join via video conference, his face appearing on a wall-sized screen like some corporate deity. Who is this young man? Asked Eleanor Voss, the lead director, eyeing Jordan with suspicion. This is Jordan Ellis, Victor announced. My son. The room erupted in whispers. Edward's face on the screen remained smugly impassive. Your son, Eleanor repeated. The opposing counsel from the lawsuit? Yes, Victor confirmed. A fact I discovered only days ago. Jordan has ethically recused himself from the case and is here as an observer. Eleanor's gaze sharpened. How convenient that he appears just as we're voting on your leadership. I invited him, Victor said calmly. Jordan deserves to understand the company that's part of his heritage, regardless of today's vote. The CFO cleared his throat. Speaking of which, we should proceed with the agenda. The lawsuit publicity has caused a 15-point stock drop. Several major investors are questioning leadership stability. Edward's voice crackled through the speakers. My son's emotional decisions have compromised shareholder value repeatedly. The Thompson Heights project alone sacrificed $40 million in potential profits for community considerations. Jordan watched Victor carefully. This was the test. How would his father defend his business philosophy? Thompson Heights outperformed revenue projections by 27%, Victor countered. Because we built a development where people wanted to live, work, and invest. Sustainable community development isn't charity, it's good business. The board members shifted uncomfortably as Victor displayed performance graphs on their tablets. Every project where we've implemented the community integration model has outperformed traditional developments over a 5-year timeline, Victor continued. Short-term profit maximization creates long-term instability. Have you ever witnessed someone defending their principles against powerful opposition? That moment when values and vision collide with conventional thinking? Share a time when you saw someone stand firm for what they believed was right. Jordan found himself oddly proud watching his father's defense. This wasn't the cold-hearted businessman he'd imagined all his life. This was someone with vision and principles Jordan himself shared. Edward's voice cut through the room again. The board should know that my grandson now holds my proxy votes. Jordan, would you like to share your perspective on your father's leadership? All eyes turned to Jordan. The trap was perfectly laid. Either publicly reject his newly discovered father or alienate the board members who clearly respected Edward. I spent the past 48 hours learning about Harlan Industries. Jordan began carefully. What I found is a company that balances profit with purpose. As someone who chose law to make a difference, I find that approach refreshing. Edward's face darkened on the screen. You're choosing sentiment over business sense. I'm recognizing good leadership, Jordan corrected. The financials speak for themselves. The vote proceeded, with Jordan abstaining. When the final tally showed Victor retaining his position by a single vote, Edward's video feed abruptly terminated. As the board members filed out, Eleanor approached Jordan. You're certainly a Harlan. You just changed the future of this company. I hope you plan to stay involved. Jordan glanced at Victor, surprised to find himself considering the possibility. I'm still figuring that out. 2 weeks later, Jordan sat in Mia's kitchen, watching his mother prepare Sunday dinner, as she had throughout his childhood. They talked for hours after the board meeting. Painful, healing conversations that had begun to rebuild trust between them. Victor's mother called again. Mia mentioned slicing vegetables. She's eager to meet you. Jordan nodded. I'm having dinner with them tomorrow night. Mia's knife paused. Them. Victor and Catherine, my grandmother. The words still felt strange on his tongue. She apparently kept a photo album of news clippings about my academic achievements. Victor found it hidden in her room. Mia smiled sadly. She always sent birthday cards. I returned them all. Mom, Jordan set down his coffee mug. I understand why you ran, why you protected me, but I need to explore this connection now. I know. Mia resumed chopping. Just be careful. The Harlan world is very different from ours. Actually, Jordan began carefully. Victor offered me a position, heading a new division focused on community development and corporate responsibility. Mia's eyes widened. You'd work for Harlan Industries? What about your law career? My reputation took a hit with the lawsuit withdrawal, Jordan admitted. This would let me use my legal background for something meaningful, creating housing people can afford, investing in neighborhoods instead of displacing them. Is that what you want? Or what Victor wants? Both, I think, Jordan said thoughtfully. We share similar values despite everything, and the resources to make real change are compelling. Mia touched his hand. Then explore it. Just remember who you are. The next evening, Catherine Harlan welcomed Jordan into her home with tears in her eyes. In her late 70s, she carried herself with elegant dignity despite the slight tremor in her hands. I fought with Edward when he showed Victor those fake photos, she confessed over dinner. But he threatened to cut Victor from the company completely if I interfered. I've regretted my silence every day since. Mother, Victor said gently, we've discussed this. The past is done. Catherine reached for Jordan's hand. When I saw your Harvard Law graduation announcement in the paper, I was so proud. I kept everything I could find about you. Have you ever experienced that moment of connection with someone you should have known your whole life? That instant recognition of family despite years of separation? Share your experience of finding unexpected family bonds in the comments. After dinner, Victor led Jordan to his home office, spreading architectural plans across his desk. This is the East Side Community Development Project, Victor explained. Mixed income housing, business incubator spaces, health clinic education center. If you accept the position, this would be your first project. Jordan studied the plans. These buildings replace existing homes. What happens to current residents? That's the first challenge I want you to solve, Victor said. The current plan includes temporary relocation with guaranteed return at previous rent rates. But I think we could do better. Jordan felt a surge of purpose. I have some ideas already. My mother's clinic serves that neighborhood. The community leaders trust her. Victor smiled. That's exactly why you're perfect for this. You bridge both worlds, the resources of Harlan Industries with the community connections and trust your mother built. I haven't accepted the position yet, Jordan reminded him. Take your time, Victor said, but know that this isn't about making up for lost years. It's about recognizing who you are now, someone uniquely qualified to transform how business and community interact. For the first time, Jordan allowed himself to imagine a future that included the Harlan name alongside Ellis. Not replacing his identity, but expanding it. The headline splashed across the Houston Chronicle's business section. Harlan heir apparent. CEO's secret son joins company. Jordan stared at the newspaper, coffee forgotten in his hand. The article detailed everything. His relationship to Victor, the lawsuit, his new position at Harlan Industries. Someone had leaked the entire story. His phone buzzed with a text from Victor. "Have you seen it?" Looking at it now, Jordan replied. "Any idea who talked?" "Edward." His nurse confirmed he spoke to a reporter last week. Of course, his grandfather's final attempt to create chaos. Jordan's phone began ringing incessantly. Former colleagues, law school friends, reporters. He silenced it, trying to process this public exposure of his private life. Mia called next. "The hospital is swarming with reporters," she said, voice tight. "They're asking nurses about our rags to riches story." "I'm sorry, Mom," Jordan said. "Edward leaked everything." "It's not your fault," she assured him. "Just be prepared. They're painting me as either a gold digger or a martyr, depending on which channel you watch." The media frenzy intensified over the following week. Photographers tracked Jordan's movements. Business publications debated his qualifications. Gossip columns speculated about Mia and Victor's relationship. Through it all, Jordan focused on his work, diving into the East Side project with determination. But the constant scrutiny took its toll. "We need to address this directly," Victor said during their morning meeting. "The speculation is affecting company stock and distracting from our work." "What do you suggest?" Jordan asked. "A joint interview. Controlled environment. Our choice of journalist." One conversation to end the feeding frenzy. Jordan considered this. With one condition, Mom needs to be included. This affects her too. The interview took place in Victor's home with a respected business journalist who'd covered Harlan Industries fairly for years. Mia arrived looking nervous but determined in a simple blue dress. "Thank you all for agreeing to this unusual conversation," the journalist began. "Perhaps we could start with the question on everyone's mind. How did you discover your relationship after 18 years? Victor explained the courtroom recognition. Jordan described his reaction to learning the truth. Mia spoke about her reasons for protecting Jordan. Some have suggested this convenient discovery was orchestrated for business advantages, the journalist noted. Jordan leaned forward. "I walked away from my legal career over this. My mother endured photographers camping outside her hospital. If this was orchestrated, it was the worst plan in history." Have you ever had your private life suddenly thrust into public view? That disorienting feeling when personal matters become public conversation? Share how you handled unexpected exposure of your private world. The journalist turned to Mia. "Many wonder why you declined financial support from one of the wealthiest men in Texas." Mia met her gaze steadily. "When Victor left, I was heartbroken. When I learned about Edward's manipulation, I was afraid. Their wealth and influence seemed threatening to a single mother with no resources. Perhaps I overreacted, but I was protecting my child the best way I knew how." Victor surprised both Jordan and Mia by reaching for her hand. And she did an exceptional job. Jordan's character and achievements speak to Mia's strength as a parent. The gesture wasn't lost on the journalist, whose expression softened. "What happens now for the three of you?" Jordan answered, "Refining our way forward. Building professional collaboration and exploring personal connections at our own pace." Without Edward's interference, Victor added pointedly. As they concluded the interview, Jordan realized something had shifted. Sitting together, presenting a united front despite their complicated past, they'd begun to feel like something he'd never expected. A family, unconventional and wounded, but healing. 6 months after joining Harlan Industries, Jordan stood on a makeshift stage in East Houston, facing a crowd of community members and company representatives. Behind him, construction equipment stood ready to break ground on the renamed Ellis Harlan Community Development, the first project bearing both family names. "This isn't just about buildings," Jordan told the audience. "It's about building with the community, not despite it. Every resident displaced during construction has guaranteed return rights at original rent rates. Every business receives relocation assistance and first opportunity in a new commercial spaces. He spotted his mother in the crowd, standing beside Victor. Their relationship had evolved into a cautious friendship over the past months. Weekly dinners, careful conversations, shared concern for Jordan's well-being. The heart of this development is the Mia Ellis Health Center. Jordan continued, unveiling the architectural rendering. A state-of-the-art clinic offering affordable health care to all neighborhood residents, with special programs for maternal health and pediatric care. Mia's hand flew to her mouth in surprise. Victor had kept this detail secret from both of them, insisting on naming the clinic after the woman who had dedicated her career to community health care. As Jordan concluded his presentation, Victor joined him on stage for the ceremonial groundbreaking. Cameras flashed, capturing the father and son with matching shovels and matching smiles. "Your mother's crying," Victor murmured as they posed. Jordan nodded. "Good tears this time." The reception afterward buzzed with energy as community leaders mingled with corporate executives. Jordan moved between groups, equally comfortable with neighborhood activists and board members. "You've found your calling," Catherine observed, joining him by the refreshment table. "Edward would hate everything about today. Is that why you're smiling?" Jordan asked his grandmother. "Partly," she admitted, "but mostly because I'm watching my son and grandson build something meaningful together. Something that honors both sides of your heritage." Edward had passed away 3 months earlier, his death marked by a formal funeral but little genuine grief. His final manipulation, leaving controlling interest to Jordan, had backfired spectacularly when Jordan established a voting trust with Victor, ensuring collaborative leadership rather than competition. Have you ever transformed a difficult family legacy into something positive? That moment when you realized you could build something new from complicated foundations? Share how you've reclaimed or redirected your family story in the comments. Later that evening, Jordan found Mia sitting alone on a bench outside the reception venue. "I can't believe you named the clinic after me," she said as he sat beside her. "It was Victor's idea," Jordan admitted. "He said it was time your work received the recognition it deserves." Mia shook her head in wonder. 18 years ago, I couldn't have imagined this day. Are you okay with everything? With Victor and me working together? With how public our story has become? "I'm more than okay," Mia assured him. "I'm proud of how you've handled everything, the good and the bad of the Harlan connection. You've taken what could have been a painful legacy and transformed it." Victor approached, hesitating when he saw their private conversation. "Join us," Jordan called, making room on the bench. As Victor sat down, completing their unlikely trio, Jordan felt a sense of completion. The abandoned baby had found his father. The single mother had found respect. The regretful father had found redemption. None of it erased the past, the pain, the absence, the lost years, but something new had been built atop that foundation. Something stronger because it acknowledged both the breaks and the healing. "The clinic is perfect," Mia told Victor, her voice soft with emotion. "Thank you." Victor's smile held decades of regret and new hope. "It was the least I could do to honor the woman who raised such an extraordinary son." 1 year after the groundbreaking, Jordan stood in his office overlooking the completed Ellis Harlan development. The community health center was operational, affordable housing units filled, small businesses thriving in the commercial spaces. What had begun as a corporate responsibility project had evolved into a model being replicated across 3 other cities. His assistant knocked lightly. "Your mother and Mr. Harlan are here for the meeting." Jordan smiled. These weekly planning sessions had become a highlight. Mia bringing her healthcare expertise, Victor his business acumen, and Jordan bridging both worlds. Today's meeting held special significance. After months of discussion, they were finalizing plans for the Harlan Ellis Foundation, an independent nonprofit that would expand their community development model nationwide. "The funding structure looks solid," Victor said, reviewing the documents. "My legal team confirmed the tax advantages of the endowment approach." Mia pointed to the healthcare initiative breakdown. We should increase the preventive care allocation. It reduces costs long-term and improves outcomes. Jordan watched them work together, still amazed by how their professional respect had evolved into genuine friendship. Occasionally, he caught glimpses of what might have been, the family they could have formed if Edward hadn't intervened. "I have something to discuss before we continue," Victor said suddenly, closing his folder. "I've been considering stepping back from daily operations at Harlan Industries." Jordan looked up in surprise. "Retirement? You're only 53. Not retirement. Refocus." Victor leaned forward. "I want to dedicate more time to the foundation and to other priorities I've neglected too long." His gaze shifted briefly to Mia, who looked down at her notes. Have you ever witnessed that moment when someone chooses to rewrite their life's direction? When priorities shift and new possibilities emerge? Share a time when you or someone you know made a brave pivot toward what truly matters. "The board supports Jordan taking over as CEO," Victor continued. "You've proven yourself beyond anyone's expectations this past year." Jordan sat back, stunned. "That's a significant change." "It's the natural evolution," Victor countered. "The company needs your vision going forward." Mia reached for Jordan's hand. "Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you." The meeting concluded with no final decision, Jordan promising to consider the offer carefully. As they gathered their materials, Victor lingered behind. "There's one other question I've been meaning to ask," he said quietly. "Not about business." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I'd like your blessing to ask your mother to dinner. Just the two of us." Jordan looked between them. The father who had missed his childhood, the mother who had sacrificed everything for him, and saw the careful hope in both their eyes. "It's about time," he said simply. "Just don't make me wait 18 years for an update." 2 years later, Jordan stood at the hospital window, looking down at the tiny form sleeping in his arms. His newborn daughter, Catherine Mia Harlan Ellis, named for both her grandmothers, had her mother's dark curls and the distinctive Harlan green eyes. The door opened quietly as Victor and Mia entered, their hands naturally clasped together. Their relationship had progressed slowly, deliberately, weekly dinners becoming daily calls, friendship deepening into renewed love, culminating in a small wedding 6 months ago. "She's perfect," Mia whispered, gently touching her granddaughter's cheek. Victor stood beside them, emotion evident in his eyes. "A new generation, with a very different legacy," Jordan noted, thinking of how much had changed. Harlan Industries had transformed under his leadership, becoming a case study in ethical business practices. The foundation, guided by Victor and Mia's collaborative vision, had established community development projects in 12 cities. Most importantly, the broken family narrative had been rewritten, not erased. The scars remained, the lost years acknowledged, but healed enough to create something new. "I was thinking about the hospital where you were born," Mia said softly. "How different things were, how alone I felt. And now?" Jordan asked. Mia smiled, leaning against Victor's shoulder. "Now I understand that family isn't just about blood or timing. It's about choices we make every day." Jordan's wife entered with the doctor, ready to take Catherine for her checkup. As Jordan carefully transferred his daughter to her mother's arms, he felt the weight of generational healing. Catherine would never know abandonment or absence. She would grow surrounded by a family rebuilt from broken pieces. Have you ever experienced that profound moment when a family's painful history transforms into healing for the next generation? When the circle feels complete in ways you never imagined possible. Share your story of generational healing or family transformation in the comments. Later that evening, Jordan found Victor alone in the hospital waiting area, staring thoughtfully at his phone. "Everything okay?" Jordan asked. Victor showed him the screen, a photo from Jordan's birth that Mia had kept all these years. A tiny newborn with the same determined expression Catherine had displayed earlier. "I missed this," Victor said quietly. "Your first breath, your first steps, your first words. Everything that mattered." Jordan sat beside him. "But you're here now, for my daughter's firsts, for the future we're building together." Victor nodded, putting away the phone. Your grandfather believed family was about control and legacy. He never understood it's actually about presence, about showing up, even when it's complicated. Jordan thought about the company they now led together, the foundation creating community change, the blended family surrounding his daughter. We've created a different kind of legacy, he agreed. One built on healing rather than power. The only kind worth passing down, Victor said, as they walked together toward the nursery, toward the future neither had imagined possible.